Short answer question: is it? You're such a good-looking guy that it's kind of weird for us mere mortals to even be around you, because we know that our mothers, our sisters, our girlfriends would gladly leave us for you. You're that beautiful.
Hey,
awkward. It's a weird position to be in.
And my girlfriend's in the room, dude. Let's put that.
And she's thinking about Leo's dick right now.
No.
Does your
now that you brought it up,
your
she is,
dick as girthy and powerful as your facial symmetry might suggest?
It's what I usually say is it's proportional. I don't have it's not your penis, but it's a nice penis.
Okay.
It works with my body.
It's proportional to the body of an Auschwitz victim.
Yo, do you think the dick's got smaller?
He's seen my penis. He's seen my penis limp. You know.
Never consensually.
How
never
much
consensually.
does like sleep and diet and rest, which presumably people in the concentration camps wouldn't have had much of, how much does that affect your dick?
Hey, yo, listen up, man. Yo, Josh finna come in storming.
Josh is gonna be pissed. Okay, this is my question. How did this transition take place? You're on The Bachelorette. You're doing your mainstream thing. They're embracing you, whatever. You got kind of mini canceled, right? Because it wasn't like you had like a serial rape accusation or anything like that.
Those didn't come out yet.
I said I wrote "You need my big dick" on some girl's Instagram on a comment in college.
That did it,
dude. That was Leo DiTavio accused of sexual harassment.
That
New York Post, USA Today.
That led you into the arms of this edgelord?
Yes. He came.
Wow.
He came to my fucking comedy show and he had not a binder, but he had a bunch of stories about guys that got canceled and came back from it. And I was down in the dumps, dude. And I was like, dude, let's do it, dude. Let's do some YouTube videos. Let's do a podcast. Let's fucking do it.
I gave you a fucking pep talk for the ages.
It was the best pep talk
But you
of
didn't
my
even
life.
know him?
No, so I met him once.
yeah.
This is what happened. I went to see him do comedy, pretty close to here, actually, in the Valley.
Yeah.
And you probably had one of your best sets, I imagine, ever. He killed.
It was a great set, yeah.
He killed. And that made me really respect him as a comedian. So I gave him the pep talk. Been like, listen, dude, you know how many guys have been accused of rape? You know how many big dumb guineas? You know how
Everybody here at this table, right?
You know how many filthy, uncircumcised Italians have had unflattering things said about them in the press and gone on to achieve great things? And then I invited him to my YouTube channel.
Come over to the dark side. That's what
Now I'm in the dark side, man.
Was that the pitch?
Yeah, man. That was the pitch, man. And they were embracing me at the beginning, but then they quickly threw me to the into the trash can.
The Bachelorette fans?
Yeah.
Because you're only useful to them for content. And the only content that they can get out of you is building you up. And then as soon as you're, not on the show anymore, it's like, well, what use do you have? Well, we could cancel you.
There we go. That's
we
lot
could
of views.
build you up again. That's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. We'll take a lot of work to build a new TV show for you or whatever. But if we could put out a couple of headlines, destroy your entire life.
Yep.
Oh, no problem. Sure.
They were down, man. They were down to destroy my life. And, ever since then, though, it was a blessing in disguise, That's what I always tell people that, when your darkest day might be one of your brightest days if you look, back a couple of years, one day in the future. But, yeah, it was great, man. I think we're making some great content on YouTube. I love our podcast, and it's been a lot of fun, too. I mean, it doesn't feel like work ever. He's like a brother now. I don't have a brother, but this
really?
man,
A brother you flash your penis to periodically?
every now and then, you know what I mean? Every now and then.
But okay, so this is my question though: or it's just a hypothetical for us to imagine, is if Leo hadn't been canceled, I mean, maybe he would have spent the past however many years just lying to the world and acting like his sense of humor was one thing when behind closed doors it was another. And you got to imagine that there's countless celebrities and people who are on shows, etc., who are terrified to have any sort of controversial opinion. I know even for myself, a lot of times, even something as obvious as the fact that a biological male should not be able to enter into a woman's sporting event and whoop all the women's asses, even something as obvious as that no intelligent person should be able to disagree with. I don't really want to tweet about it, even when it's happening, because I don't want to come back and look at my Twitter 2 hours later and be like, oh my God, I got fucking everybody on earth quote tweeting me, calling me a piece of shit and a hate monger. I mean, there's such an incentive to avoid going off the deep end or even having a basic common sense opinion about things. I know a lot of trans people. I know that if that were to come out, if I were to tweet something like that, a big percentage of them would feel societal pressure to be like, fuck him, he's a piece of shit. even though what he's saying is just basic common sense.
Yeah.
I kinda
King
wanna
Cross.
ask a question to you, Adam. So, do you think in your industry, at your experience and how long you've been doing it, is it possible for you to be blackballed? Is that still on the table? Or have you got your machine running so fucking well?
I'll put it like this: is that you see it attempted all the time in hip hop. Just the other day, Academics, is a very big person in this world, probably like the biggest media commentator in hip hop, whatever. You saw like a very intentional smear job attempted on him, where they took an old ass clip of, I believe, him talking about Tyga and Kylie Jenner at a long ass time ago when he was in his early 20s, and he I think was speaking from the mentality of Tyga, who dated Kylie Jenner when she was 17, and he was saying something along the lines of, "I don't give a fuck if she's 21 or she's 17," basically like expressing the mentality of the person that he was talking about.
Right.
This gets cut up. It's taken out of context. The fact that he himself at this time was like 21. I might be getting some of these details wrong, but the fact that he himself was basically like not that far apart from the age that he's discussing, it's put out there. You have really like every platform in hip hop, all these different Instagram pages, etc., hopping on, trying to get in on the fun. You got tons of rappers dropping comments down below, trying to get in on the canceling. I mean, what did he do? He talked about it on Twitch for 10 minutes, and just kept going, and the whole fucking media machine just moves along. And it's like,
because once the facts came out, though, like you realize, oh wait, hold up. So he was a sophomore,
right?
And he was talking about freshmen in college. That like, and that would mean when he was a senior in high school, those girls were juniors. Also, the age of consent in Jersey is 17.
But at that time, when you saw Academics having this attempted cancellation, there was one thing that I was thinking could happen if this got bad enough, which is you are signed to Spotify. You do a podcast through Spotify. If Spotify wanted to, they could do basically like what happened to T.I. when he had his accusations or whatever. They could kind of say, you're not fired, but we're going to take a break. You're not going to put any episodes out for a few weeks, a few months, et cetera. We're going to see how this all settles. Realistically, I don't even have that. Like, I don't have a Spotify that could say, hey, fuck you. You know, yes, I could have my entire YouTube channel demonetized, like what you saw happen with Nelk Boys and stuff. That seems pretty unlikely. And honestly, I think we could still pay the bills if we lost our YouTube checks. But I mean, yeah, I think it would be pretty hard to get canceled at this point. I've really like prided myself in building a business that doesn't rely on sponsors, which is kind of a weird thing now, because what is the number one thing that we could do in order to make more money so that we could pay hosts more, so we could attract bigger talent, so that we could go get somebody who's already kind of established and say, hey, let's do a podcast on our channel. The number one thing that we could do if you're like Barstool or whatever is you just get lots more sponsors. You do lots more ads on your podcast. The more that we do of that, the more vulnerable we are to having a hate mob be able to say, hey, better help pull your ads with this guy because he said this one common sense thing about trans people. So, I mean, it does get tricky, but I mean, from my perspective, we have pretty much built a brand that would be very hard to damage by any kind of cancellation, you know?
The only thing that could happen is YouTube could kick you off the platform. But the thing is, you're too big. And they have a large enough body of work that I think they can determine you're not a hate channel. You're not spreading dangerous propaganda. So the YouTube strike system, it's sort of set in stone, but it's sort of not. Like Leo's channel got deleted recently. Leo's personal channel, because he's just a small channel and he wasn't big enough to raise much of a stink about it.
But what did you have deleted?
They just they said that I had nudity on my channel, and I didn't have any nudity, so it was odd.
Right. No pictures of your big dick?
No, I never put any pictures of my cock on my YouTube channel.
Seems fair.
Yeah, there's no reason to, and the fans wouldn't even like it really. But you know,
we did appeal.
We appealed it
chatted
many times. Hit the chat, and they just give me the same runaround.
And you still can't get it back.
Can't get it back, dude. It disappeared, and it happened to our friend Overboard Humor as well. Overboard Humor, this guy, 1.3 million subs, just got deleted for the same thing. I think he said his girlfriend had a thong on a live, and they just one day to the next, no strikes, no warnings. It's gone.
It's insane because back in the day, me and my girl went to the Porn Awards and we made vlogs, and we intentionally did not monetize them when we put them out because we figured that would make it less likely that they would get taken down. And just the other day, one of these vlogs that's like 4 years old at this point, and you know, she went very out of her way to not show titties, to like blur or whatever, just disappears from her channel. Luckily, she didn't get a strike for it, but it's still like, I told her, I'm like, just go through your YouTube and take every fucking video that you feel like is kind of on the edge and just private it. Hey, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe. We just hit 200K. We're trying to get to 300K.
Turn this up.
Appreciate y'all.
Let's go.